Hello, young people from Africa. Good day to you. Today we are launching the African Youth Front on coronavirus. We all know how this pandemic has turned the world, and it is very important that the largest population of Africa join in the fight against COVID-19. So we rely on our young people, particularly because they constitute the larger portion of the African continent, and particularly because they are the ones most affected now by the COVID-19, because schools have been stopped, they can no longer go to school, and not going to school, unemployment also is on their binge. So young people, I call on you that we join our hands together and fight against COVID-19 in the way we live our life, in the things we do, and how we perform our duties at home, at work. And it is also very important that the African Union member states engage youth in the fight against corona. When those policies are being made, please bring in youth. When the health sector are meeting, please bring the young professionals in the health sector into the conversation so that together we will beat COVID-19 hands down. The future is ours only if we can harness the demographic dividend through investment in the youth of Africa. Together we are stronger.
Young Africans, let me start by thanking Commissioner Sarah, Commissioner for Human Resource Science and Technology, and also to thank our youth envoy, Aya Shapi, for this very important initiative. This initiative is very important for us in the Social Affairs Department. It's very important for the partnership with our technical institution, the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, which is leading now the fight against COVID-19 in Africa. We spoke about having solidarity within the continent between the 55 member states, and we have the political will that is driving this solidarity and this unity of action for all our member states. Now, today, we are launching this initiative on the youth front on COVID-19. And this front from all of you young people in Africa, it's very much needed at this very stressful time of this pandemic. We need you on board. We need all your efforts to be with us. We need you to join your expertise, especially you as young generations. You are very experienced in technology. Now everybody is staying at home. The only means of communications available is through social media and through internet. So that's why we need you more, because you can communicate better. You can communicate the messages that's produced by the African Union Commission about how we can mitigate the socio-economic impact of COVID-19. How can we make our public in Africa aware of the risk, how to avoid this risk, how to make sure that the measures being introduced by Africa CDC and the measures put in place by WHO, it will be implemented by all Africa. We need you as young generation. We need your capabilities, because if you join your capabilities with what Africa CDC is doing, I believe us in Africa, we will be less harmed by this pandemic.
I want to first of all appreciate the leadership of Commissioner of Social Affairs, Her Excellency Amir Al-Fadel, Commissioner of HRC, Her Excellency Professor Sarah Agbor, for putting young people central to the work of the African Union. And the launch of the African Youth Front on coronavirus really shows that African Union takes young people seriously. As Commissioner of HRC said, we're the youngest population in the world, 65% under 30. And so this initiative actually will make the African Union the first and maybe the only so far intergovernmental institution to provide young people a policy and advocacy space to work with decision makers and co-lead the solutions together. The Youth Front will have 3 clear objectives to deliver for the next 6 months. The first is to mobilize and unite young people and grassroots civil society actors around a collective response to coronavirus led by Africa CDC. The second will be to support Africa CDC joint continental strategy on the pandemic and the Africa Task Force on Novel Coronavirus, and there are 6 working groups on different expertise. So as Commissioner of Social Affairs said, the young people will mobilize and bring all of these measures to the grassroots to make sure we comply and follow the preventive measures, and we mobilize our constituency to raise awareness. And the third objective is also to bring the youth dynamism and ideas to the work of the African Union and to Africa CDC vision and leadership in the response of the pandemic. So this group will come up with campaigns and ideas to support the collective response to the pandemic. Young people have an added value to the work of the African Union, and that they need to be central to co-lead the solutions. So I want to thank the leadership of our commissioners and my mentors, and also the leadership of Africa CDC to trusting me to coordinate the deliberations of this group. And my message to my peers out there is that now we have a space to co-lead, and we need to support the delivery of and join hands with our leaders on this pandemic, and especially organize our constituency. We will have 20 members of this front, and they all come out of the consultations that we did from different countries. And so we hope that we have a wide diversity of representation to support all of us to join hands and fight coronavirus.
And in line with His Excellency Dr. Musa Faki Mohammed's vision for the youth of Africa, encapsulated in his 1 million by 2021 initiative of 4 E's, the E of employment, entrepreneurship, engagement, and employment, we will discover that what the youth envoy, Ms. Aya Shebi, is pushing is found in the E of engagement. And in engaging youth of Africa, following the consultation she has had to get the 20 members of the Bureau, it therefore means that we are working together in a manner of co-creation in order to accelerate the impact of our action in the African continent. Each and every one of the youth organizations that we have on national and regional level should join the continental move on the African youth front for COVID-19. Together again, we are very, very strong.
So 2 weeks ago, the Africa CDC director joined me as a guest on a webinar, and he engaged with 2,000 youth live, and they asked him very challenging questions. And then at the end, he challenged us and called all of us to build a youth-led movement against COVID-19. So I think this is now the framework at the AU level to push for that movement and for these young people to mobilize the movement.
I think while you have a very clear vision on what you want to do as youth in Africa, and led by your office, Aya, and the consultations, and always seeking updated information and developed your initiative. I think everything that comes out of consultations, it will be very good. And it's good that you know how to implement, and you are putting a roadmap for implementation. You have engaged young Africans, you said 20 from different regions. This will bring diversity to this youth front on COVID-19, and you can join what you are doing with the communication strategy that's been also led by Africa CDC, because we have developed the communication strategy. We have more than 100 African journalists joined for the implementation, and we are seeking partners every day that they can come on board with us, with Directorate for Information and Communication of the African Union, to make sure that awareness raising on COVID-19 is a priority. The communication strategy is going to lead us on how to gain this public awareness in Africa. And when we have you with your vision that is being put in place in the youth front, I think we will succeed.